Do you miss the simple pleasure of going to the theater and watching your favorite Marvel movie on the big screen, Spencer, on the silver screen with the famous actors and actresses?
Yes, because the Black Widow should have been out by now.
So you don't want to spend $20 to watch a movie on demand when you can spend $10 and go to the theater on the big screen and have an experience.
Yeah.
That's reasonable.
Yeah.
I do not want to spend $20 to watch a movie at home. When some movies have dropped on, like Bloodshot, I'm like, I'm not spending $20 to watch that. Well, if it was $10, okay.
Well, it should be cheaper now because it's on DVD and stuff now. So you'd think that would drop down in price.
Yeah, I don't even want to watch that now. It's a fucking disappointment. Sick of being disappointed by movies.
Because, I got, an okay TV, but, I don't have, a great TV that would maybe warrant... spending the $20 and, and having that same kind of experience to it.
Well, let me ask you this, Sir Senor Lopez, or whatever your name is these days.
Oh, no, you haven't heard me yet.
We'll get there. How do you feel about the prospect of having to go to a drive-in in lieu of the actual movie theater? Like, if you want the big screen experience, they're talking about drive-ins are going to make a big resurgence. So that resurgence... you would have to go to the drive-in instead of a movie theater. Are you about it? Yay or nay? Every drive-in I've ever went to was kind of shitty.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, if that's what I'd have to do to see a movie, I would.
You always get douchebags in the back of their truck.
Yeah.
Loud. And...
people walking around.
You always have, slight cars in front, and the view is slightly fucked up sometimes. But it is cool to drink a lot. Not if you're driving, obviously.
Yeah.
If you're the passenger. But it is cool. You just drink and go to the concession stand, just kind of wander around if a movie sucks. I've had a couple good experiences where we watched some decent movies. I saw Baywatch at a drive-in, actually, I think.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. This is about my drive. They always have double features, which is cool, but one is usually really shitty.
Yeah.
One is a very shitty movie. I don't remember what the good movie we watched was, but I feel like I wouldn't go, I wouldn't go to the movies as much.
And what's the speaker it's
not bad now because it just goes on your radio.
Oh, okay.
There is no speaker anymore. Okay. It's just Bluetooth through your radio or something. Oh. Yeah, or you turn to a radio channel or something, and it's actually good as long as you don't have a shitty car, obviously.
That would suck too then because say if it starts raining or something.
Weather is always a factor, and it's always these fucking really shitty grassy hills you have to park on.
And you couldn't see a matinee.
No, it's just set prices.
Because I like
you can't go or I like to go. I like to go at noon or whatever.
Yeah, I like to go at noon on a Tuesday.
Nobody's in the theater. Yeah, you can't do that at a movie theater. It's usually just night showings only. I mean, it would be fun to do once or twice, and obviously only in the summer, warm weather. Or at least nicer weather. I went to a couple Halloween ones, which was really terrible. Not because of the weather, just the movie selection was awful. It was indie movies. But it's just not something oh, hey, let's go see this new Marvel movie, and then go to the drive-in. You don't want to do that. That wouldn't be fun. I like the romantic idea of drive-ins. It's reminds you of the better days of the 50s.
Take your gal down to the where you might be able to cop a feel.
Do a little necking.
Yeah,
you do a little necking. Maybe get a little fresh in the back seat, and then she slaps you. Then you take her home, and then her dad doesn't want you to see her again. And then you hear the talk of the town at the factory or high school or wherever you are. Yeah, drive-ins suck. I don't really want to do that.
More importantly, as to the recording of this episode, the day after, some of our local comic book stores are reopening.
Yeah, that's a good news for us. If you live in LA County in California, you got another 3 months of lockdown, so that sucks for you folks.
Well, you know what? I was kind of thinking about it, and that's kind of what you get for being in LA. You know what I mean? LA's been so good for the most part, other than an occasional
earthquake,
every couple of decades. But other than that, the town's been good over there. Hasn't it been raining over there now?
It's is it becoming the big sleep world?
Yeah, maybe.
Is it just rainy and cold now? I don't know. I haven't followed LA weather. Well, to our California listeners, hope you guys open up sooner for, if you want that kind of thing. Texas, they're just getting armed with militias that are forcing businesses open, or forcing, the guarding businesses so that the counties can't shut them down. So that seems kind of harsh.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it depends where you are. Like, Northern California isn't Los Angeles. So, maybe, I guess the rules are different because I don't think they got a 3-month shutdown. But, like, around here, should we have the same shutdown rules as Pittsburgh? Probably not.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we needed as harsh of a shutdown as other places. Just leave it to the counties to open up how they feel, I think.
But the tricky thing is that with us not having any borders or anything like that, is that somebody can come from someplace else, and then...
Well, that's also an issue. So say we open up all businesses as normal with the normal restrictions of social distancing and whatnot. Then the people from Pittsburgh who are still shut down just come down to shop here, go eat here, and then they bring it anyway. Yeah. That is a major problem. If you live in a more rural place like Nebraska or something... they're probably not even following... I don't even know what they're doing, honestly. So those places are probably not following the social distance ordinance as much as like places like here, but...
And it sucks too because there's not a right answer.
No, there's no precedent for... Like, we've never had this in modern times, so we don't really know what to do. The last one was before, the radio, I guess, was around. That was about it, 1918.
Like, no matter what option you choose, there's a great risk of hurting and killing a group of people.
Yeah, you can't win.
Yeah, so like, and that's the difficult thing. It's almost kind of like how we would always describe work, coming into work. You're gonna get fucked no matter what you do. Yeah. You just might be able to pick if you want it in your mouth or if you want it in your ass. You might get that option.
If you're lucky.
That's a crude example of what the world is in today.
To be fair, the world today, you're just getting in both ends without asking at the same time. It sucks. It all sucks. Everything sucks. I'm interested to see how these countries that are opening back up are doing. Obviously, their cultures are different, so...
Well, and that's the thing. Like, we're one of, like, the last big places to get it.
Yeah.
It was, like, slowly making its way over here, and we're trying to set things back up before they even set things back up.
Well, we're a very interesting experiment too in this country because unlike most of the countries that were fighting the coronavirus, we're like the main one that's just like all about individualism.
Yeah.
So it's like stubborn individualism. My freedoms, my liberties, you can't shut me down. Like, you go to Japan, it's about everybody. It's a cultural society. So it's like, if they already were wearing masks when they would have cold and stuff. Like, so wasn't much of a problem, and they're closer to China than us. I think Seoul was like similar in South Korea. They were able to nip it in the bud pretty quickly, but here it's all about no. I want to go to the bar. I'm going to the fucking bar. You can't tell me what to do. And that, granted, that's how we established our country and invented a lot of cool shit. But then that's also, it comes to bite you in the ass at times. It's just maybe people need a little chill a little bit. Just have some restraint. Just relax, babies. Stay at home if you can.
Yeah, stay at home. Listen to some DPW podcasts.
Yeah.
Pour yourself a nice Cavassier and relax.
Sweet Cavassier. Have a little delicate jazz in the background accompanying our beautiful flowing voices. Yeah. Hey there, everybody. You are listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. We come attacking your ears with knowledge today. I'm your host, Caleb James. With me today, Spencer, the Delaware Dandy Church. I don't know how I feel about that one. It's 2020. You can be a dandy if you want. Is that an insult anymore? That's like a 30s insult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You dandy.
Yeah, I don't even think people would understand what that means now. I would like to think that. I don't know.
You know what's messed up a while ago? Somebody asked how I was doing. I was like, fine, and I asked them how they were doing. And they're like, oh, fine and dandy. So you know what I immediately just dropped to in my head was the George Carlin fine and dandy bit.
Yeah. Today's episode is 4 things you should know when looking for a literary agent. I don't think we did this one. If we did, listen to this episode, not the last one, because it's pretty likely the last one was shit.
Yeah.
Just because we did it a long time ago and we weren't very good. Not that we're much better now, but at least we can read somewhat.
We are a little bit better.
I like to think so. make lots of noise. Fucking turquoise fanny pack.
I'm surprised you just actually don't have that strapped on you already. Yeah. I figure that never leaves your side.
I don't know where that thing came from.
Only for shitting and showering.
I always find random fanny packs around the house. None of them are mine. One of them was mine.
Sure.
Shut up. By the way, I looked at Joe Rogan's fanny packs. His ones he sells, they're like $500 or something.
Really? Yeah, I knew they were nice and shit, but...
Yeah, they're super expensive.
Oh, somebody got their jangles on.
Well, they're staying on because I'm not getting up. Don't jangle too much. I hope Mindy's okay. I feel like she's been in the basement.
Do you want to go check on her?
Oh, okay. She's alright. There we go. I thought maybe she fell and hit her head or something. I heard some ruckus earlier.
Oh, good thing we wasn't talking too much shit.
Yeah. Well, you would have been in the doghouse, not me. Alright. Finding the right literary agent is important for many reasons. The main one being you need someone who shares your vision and will help you get the best deals possible for your work. Especially if you're new to the publishing game and don't yet know what a good deal looks like. Because trust us, publishers will take advantage of your naivety if they can. Naive. You don't want to be naive. Never said that word out loud. Naivety.
Well, there's like being naive and there's naivety.
I'm thinking like that's the Jesus thing, the nativity scene, not that. But that's the only way I can say it. I hate when I write words. By the way, this article is from the Drunken Pen Writing article. Fuck. Wow.
Where's it from?
From the Drunken Pen Writing podcast. No, it's not. It's
one more time. One more time.
You can find this wonderful article as 4 things you should know when looking for a literary agent at www.drunkenpenwriting.com, written by one Caleb James K. That's my author name because I'm sticking to it. Man, I you know what? We are getting worse. Listen to the last one if we did this. I don't know what we named it if we did it, but you know what? Let me just continue this and then we'll talk about this intro. And while it's equally important to learn how to write a good query letter to score an agent, you need to know what to look for in finding said agent to query in the first place. Luckily for you, we've done some research on the topic and have come up with some simple things you should look out for. Let's get started on finding you the right agent. Now, before we start this article, because I wrote this in 2017, me and you are not novelists, good sir, yet. No. We have not dabbled those waters. I've been using the water metaphors too much lately. I'm always using murky water and diving in, and I need something else. I'll think of something later. But anyway, we have not traversed that land. Yeah. We haven't crossed that bridge yet, but at least I have looked into it many times to just kind of see, because somebody actually recently just got me an idea to look up this article was because I was submitting a short story to a couple places, and I was having trouble finding that genre, like a magazine that publishes that genre, and someone suggested I get an agent.
Oh, because they would probably have ins and would know.
But I never thought of that for short stories. Like, I don't know, because, I mean, how they get a commission off that? I don't think they would. Again, if you just had an agent, then you could be like, hey, Dan, can you tell me where somebody's publishing? You got some editors, throw you $10 or something. I don't know. But how do you feel? Like, how important do you think having an agent in 2020 is with the way the indie publishing marketing's going, like the indie publishing scene, and with like just the big publishers? Because to start, like submitting a novel manuscript to a publisher, you can do it direct sometimes. Also, there's contests and things like that. And also, if you're friends with an editor, that always helps. But again, with the deals, like, I wouldn't know what I know the basics of what would make a good book deal. Like, if you can, you'd want to own the film rights and the international rights and stuff, which as a first-time author, that'd probably be hard to get. I don't know if you'd be able to work that. But personally, I suck at negotiating stuff. Oh. Like, anytime I ever had to, like, haggle someone, like, try to talk them, I don't like doing that.
Because I'm very, like, there'd be times, like, comic book stores or at conventions, like, there'd probably be times where I could be like,
haggle and get a better deal.
Yeah, but I'm just like, oh, that's $30. Okay, here you go.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm like, dude, I got 20. I'll give you 20. Like, I don't like doing that. It just makes me feel cheap.
Yeah,
I feel like a jerk. And that's why another thing, like, I would always be wary about going to Middle Eastern countries, because a lot of those countries, it's all about haggling.
Yeah,
like they want you to haggle. They start off super high, so you haggle them down, and it's almost like you're fighting, and everybody gets like some kind of entertainment out of it. I would not. I would hate that. I'd be like, okay, here's $500 for this set of bananas.
I would like to think that I'd have a good set of haggling skills, but like I've never actually really had to use them too much, so I wouldn't know.
It's hard to say. But an agent comes in handy when working, and also just like the fine print of those deals and the legalese and all that shit. Like they would already know that if you get an established agent. Also with agents though, there's like up and coming agents I see all the time on Twitter. I don't know what you have to do to become a literary agent. I don't know how you get into that line of work. Because I've seen a lot of writers, they just turn into literary agents or they do that on the side.
Yeah.
Like, is it just because you have connections or like, how's this working here? I saw you'd have to be wary on how you handle going about that.
I think to get back to the original question, I would think for like the mid-tier like independent like publishing, like that first level that we're trying to reach to now. You
wouldn't need an agent for those.
No, but once you start to get into like even like the higher independent like agency, you would probably want an agent because they not only with like book deals and stuff, but they would probably be a good chance to have a good idea on like how much it would cost to publish something yourself, or know like a publishing company, or to actually print the books and like that kind of stuff.
Not to mention, if you publish your own book and it does fairly well, there is always that chance that you could get a publisher that would want to publish it and sell it to bigger numbers, and then the agent would come in handy for that too. They could be, hey, this book's pretty good. It's an indie book. Guy owns his own rights for it. If be willing to make a deal, he'll sell those rights to you.
Yeah,
you could do something like that.
And introduce it to a brighter market.
Audience.
Yeah.
All right, number 1, make sure the agent is even accepting new clients. This is one I hear a lot of people complain about, where they go, oh, yeah, I was talking, throwing the query letters out to all these fucking agents. Nobody got back to me. It's like, were they accepting? What do you mean? Did you see if they were actually accepting, or did you just email random agents you found? Don't do that.
Yeah.
That's a good way to get yourself blackballed.
Especially if you have if you don't have any kind of rapport or talk to them at all, you know what I mean?
I mean, I might have said it in here, but a good thing to do would just be, before you even send the letter or anything, is just be like, hey, just by the way, I was interested, I found you online or something, or somebody recommended you. Are you accepting? Simple email. Yeah. Are you accepting,
or do you, and if not,
new clients, and then,
and if not, do you know anybody who is looking for people? I'm trying to shop something around.
And it never hurts to just try to make friends with agents online too. Like, more connections the better.
Networking.
Yes, which I suck at.
Yeah.
The first thing you need to do when whittling down your list of agents is to make sure they are even taking in new clients. A lot of top-tier agents are book solid. That's a true one, too. Don't expect you're going to get a top agent. You're going to be like Charlie Runkle, Hank Moody. Like that. You'll be lucky if you get that. Some bumbling sex addict like as your agent from Californication.
Well, and that's the thing. Your first agent, he's probably gonna be he or she's probably
newer to the business.
Gonna be an up and comer probably too.
Or the opposite end, somebody that might be just older person getting their way like out.
Yeah.
Closer to retirement. They're not taking on a lot of clients. Others only accept new clients during specific times of the year. The last thing you want to do is waste your time and effort querying. I hate that word. I'm drinking too much whiskey, folks. I'm sorry.
Or not enough whiskey.
You always say that, and that's always the answer. It's not enough whiskey.
It's the right one, right?
It's that Jameson stout that makes my mouth dry. The last thing you want to do is waste your time and effort querying agents who aren't looking for talent in the first place. If there's a particular agent you're really interested in, but who doesn't seem to be taking new clients, just keep a close eye on them while you continue your agent search. If you can get them during the right window, you might have some luck. But don't put all your cards on the table hoping to score big with that particular agent. It's better to score an available agent than wait out one who is all booked up with no feasible open period in the near future. That's just kind of like life in general. Yeah. You kind of got to take the opportunities that are there versus waiting for the dream opportunity, because that might not come.
Yeah.
Certain situations, I guess you could wait for the right opportunity, depending if you don't want to settle. But
again, that's probably after you've already put out like a book or two, probably,
yeah.
And you've kind of if you've hopefully then by that point gained like an audience, And, but again, like, especially for your first time, publisher or trying to publish something yourself, you know what I mean? It's going to be very difficult. You're going to have to try to just, like you said, take what you can get, maybe.
Yeah. Number 2, make sure the agent represents your genre. That's another big one they often overlook. Not all agents are just like this, I'll just take anybody's work, if I like the writing, I'll take you on. No, a lot of agents are just sci-fi. Like, because just like the publishing world, there's certain publishers that are only sci-fi, fantasy, mystery noir, like crime fiction, romance. You want especially if you're a genre writer too, you want an agent who's only going to represent or mainly represents that genre. Now, if you write multiple genres and you want to work with this agent in the future for different projects, you might want to find an agent who is, a little more well-rounded, has their toes dipped in more waters. Damn it, the water.
Back to the water.
More puddings. They dipped their toes in more pudding. More ointments. I like the word ointment. There's no real point in reaching out to an agent who only represents romance authors while you only write horror fiction. And when it comes down to it, this is probably the number one reason most agents reject an author's pitch. In desperation or lack of research, an author will hit up multiple agents without even considering who represents what genres. I don't remember if I put it in this article, but it was somewhere on DPW, but you can just Google this and find it. There are lists of agents on certain sites, and it'll tell you what genres they represent. A lot of them, I think, will even tell you some of the big clients they represent, and I think you have to pay for some of these, like maybe it's Writer's Digest or something like that. They'll actually say if they're open for submissions, when they're open, things like that. If you're going to pay for that kind of information, though, you really want to be serious.
Yeah.
Don't go forking over money for that kind of information if you're just kind of like, I just like writing as a hobby and I would like to get published. No, you want to be...
Like, make sure your book's done, ready.
Yeah. One of the most important things you must do before starting your agent hunt is to put your book into a genre. No, not every book will fit into one specific genre. That's the problem I have with my stories. Usually don't fit into one genre. But breaking down the synopsis and the themes of the book into a genre will make selling it easier, as well as letting an agent know right off the bat what they're dealing with. When it comes to the genre of your book, there's no need to fancy it up. Keep it simple until you score an agent, then let them help you decide if labeling the book is more than one specific genre, labeling a book in more than one specific genre is a good idea or not. Yeah, because there's a lot of fiction that you can't really put into one specific genre. Most fiction, I would say, from like bigger name writers, don't necessarily fit into one genre.
Yeah.
It's like sci-fi, horror. Like, if you go on Amazon, I think there's like it's like an endless subgenre list.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many categories you can be in.
Well, that's like, just like, you got here on the table, the Paulie Cooley's The Black. Mm-hmm. That's like almost like 5 different genres in that thing.
That's like hard sci-fi tech horror. And some other stuff.
With
mystery,
monsters.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe mystery. And it's a monster story. Number 3, you should know what you want out of contract negotiations. This is a tough one, especially if you've never dealt with anything like contract negotiations. If you're a new writer or never had an agent, never talked to an agent, these things are tricky. But we're here to help, folks. Number 3, you should know what you want out of contract negotiations. One of the main reasons for getting an agent is to handle contract negotiations. After all, this is their bread and butter. If they want to get paid, they first need to make sure you get paid. It's a good point. Yeah, agents does not get paid unless you get paid.
The more you get, the bigger cut they get.
Exactly. But that doesn't mean you should go in blind and let them do all the work for you. They and you need to know what you want out of the negotiations. Sad to say, like an agent, unless you're really close buddies with them, there's a good chance, like, if you don't have any set negotiation, like what you'd want out of it, they'll just go get the quickest thing.
Yeah.
Because, they just want to get paid, and they'll do whatever to get the most money for you and them, and then they'll be, done. But that might not necessarily be good. Yeah, that might not be what you would actually want out of it. Before going in, you should know what's important to you and what you're willing to sacrifice. We all want a big payday and that wonderful fat book advance, but what else? There are so many other things to consider when negotiating. Foreign rights, movie rights, TV rights. You must know what you want to keep and what you're willing to let the publisher keep. If you let this all be known to your agent, who should fill you in on how it all works, they can work out the best deal for you. If you go in without a plan, you might end up with a crappy deal. Remember, the publisher is out to make money. And they sure as hell don't do that by paying their authors.
No.
They do not. They're greedy and they're fucks. They will keep all the TV rights, movie rights, because those are the big rights.
Yeah.
And the international rights. Those are the big money tickets. And if you give up all of those, what are you going to settle for? You just your advance and then, whatever, maybe some book sale rights, like some royalties.
Like something at the back end.
Yeah, that's not that good. Because the way it is now, man, you can get a Netflix movie, you can get paid. But you can't do that because the publisher is getting paid because you forego those rights for lazy reasons, I guess. I don't know. And I guarantee they'll fight tooth and nail. Here's a tricky scenario. Say, and I always use $15,000 because that's what they used to pay. I don't know what the fuck they pay now, but say you get a $15,000 advance for your book and your book deal and whatever. What if they say, hey, we'll only give you $7,000, but you can keep the movie and TV rights? Fucking Apache helicopter, right on cue. It's landing on the roof. Oh no! Oh, my penis. Okay, it's gone. So what would you do if you're a first-time author and you think you have, say, like a sci-fi story or mystery or like a ghost or something that's really like hitting on Netflix type of deal?
I'm going to say that it would have to really depend on the story if you thought that it could be made into a movie or not.
Would you sacrifice, because the agent might be able to help you get that into a movie deal, pitch that as a movie deal too. Would you sacrifice that big chunk of change to keep that right, knowing that there's a chance that it'll never get made into anything and you won't get paid? But then there's stories of fucking books that got picked up and then the movie rights ran out. Like they sold the movie rights to a movie company. They got big fat paycheck.
Oh, yeah. Never did anything.
10 years or something goes by. They never do anything. The rights go back to the author. They sells it to another. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Or do you want the fuckhead publisher to sell those rights over? Because what does the publisher really do? They put out the book.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll hire an editor for you and you don't have to worry about that shit.
And they handle like the printing of it.
And probably do a book design that you dislike. Like they don't want to listen to you on the book design. And then it's your job. They'll put it in bookstores, I guess. But it's your job to really sell the fucking thing. You have to do the marketing. So.
Especially too, and like I know you just said like that's what they used to pay. But like $15,000 for a book, like that's still not a lot. Like, No,
it's something that takes a year to write. And also, with the ebooks now so popular, how much work are they really putting in then? If they fucking, you have to put the ebook together and stuff, but if that saves them on all the printing cost.
It's more now to just be like, just to like say that I had a book that was published by like Penguin House or like, you know what I mean? From like
Random House or something.
Like one of those big publishers to just be like, I had a book that got put out by one of those guys. And
that's it's sad to say. That's more of the exposure element. It's like, hey, I got my name out there.
Or even just like a goal, like, you know what I mean? And then maybe not have any other books that would get published by any of those guys. But you had that, you have that one. But yeah, it's tricky, especially now because with the way other entertainment is now with all the streaming services and nobody ever wants to make up their own idea for a movie or TV show. They just want to shittily adapt something else, and turn it into something else. So
it's really, it's like kind of a lose-lose thing because the indie market's so saturated now that if you put an indie book out, you'd be lucky to kind of go with your social media following and stuff. Like you'd really have to. As much time you're going to put into marketing and building up all that stuff, is it even worth it? I don't know. I always wonder why Stephen King doesn't just self-publish now because he would make 100% profit. He'd make so much money and then sell the rights too.
He must have had some good deals because I'd imagine he's made enough money.
I thought there was a stretch where he had like a really bad deal that he just fucking got pissed off and
maybe
not writing as good of books. He was just like fucking irritated.
Well, he's also wrote like over 60, so you can have like a 5-book stretch of like that maybe not have sold well.
Dookie books.
But he must have kept the right because like like we've talked about before. There's stories where he sold rights to like a film school. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So he must be pretty good like on a lot of his,
You know what I saw that I never really thought about, but it would actually be very lucrative? Maybe not super lucrative, but it'd be actually like
worth it?
It would be gratifying and you'd get paid to do it. I'm going to go into the overall genre, but the subgenre, visual novels. Because I never thought of that's video games where you're writing like, they're like more story-based video games and stuff. And it's like a genre video game. And like that would be really cool. But then I just thought, well, what about just writing video games in general? Like, because most video games would have some kind of story. That would be awesome.
That's tough, though.
I saw a guy on Twitter. He said that he had a video game had 1 million sales or something. Sold 1 million copies almost, and he wrote it. He was like, it was a visual video game that he wrote, and he was talking. I forget what his actual tweet was about. It wasn't about that necessarily, but I was like, that is awesome. Like, that would be so fun to be able to do that. Like, just write video game, even if it was just like until you were able to get your fiction career off the ground.
Well, like, I don't know about like that kind, but like I've listened to podcasts for Paul Dini. He's a very big comic book guy. He was heavily involved in the Batman animated series. He's the one who created Harley Quinn, and he wrote, I think, at least the first 2 of the Arkham games, the Batman Arkham games from a couple years back. And he was like on a Kevin Smith podcast, and they were talking about it. And he said that there was so much more extra writing you'd have to do, because you'd have to come up like, well, what about if somebody has their character to do this, you need to cover that. And
it'd almost be like choose your own adventure.
Kind of, but I think even on a higher like scale than that.
You have to write every outcome and everything like that. But that'd be fun though. Be interesting, like, and you probably get paid a lot if it's a game like Arkham. Right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, you probably get a good payday, and then you'd hope, you'd get some off the back end.
I always like it off the back end. Number 4, look for anything that might better connect you to an agent. As with any relationship in life, establishing a personal connection will benefit you far greater than if you treat your agent like a resource rather than a person. This doesn't mean you have to become best friends with your agent, but being friendly certainly won't hurt. And this personal connection goes for the work you're presenting as well. Say your novel is about baseball, and what do you know? The agent you just queried just happens to be a huge baseball fan. This small connection can be enough to bring them over to your side and think about giving you a chance. And there are all kinds of connections like this to be made. Just do your research. A little social media creeping can go a long way in helping you figure out which agents on your query list have certain things in common with you. If you're able to establish a certain connection with an agent, it's much more likely they'll take you on as a client. And maybe you'll even become friends and work together for a long time. Again, I always wanted like the Hank Moody, Charlie Runkle. Like just this is just nothing but debauchery, but they were buddies.
Well, the sad thing is, like, at the beginning of that show, he was, like, actually, like, a competent agent.
Yeah, he was, like, good.
And then he was just watching his slow, like, down spiral, and then kind of almost become, like, a good kind of agent again. Like,
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some famous agents throughout history. Like, there's some stories, but...
Well, I'm going to say that... I don't know about you, but most of what I know of agents are what I see from TV and movies.
Yeah.
Like, the guy from Entourage. Like,
I don't think it's that glamorous of a life.
But I mean, just like the, just super abrasive, always loud, always, like, chewing somebody's ass out, like, hyper, like... Now, again, like, that's...
Sports agents are a little different.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's a fetistic, version of like an actor's agent.
Yeah.
That's gonna be nowhere near probably like, a book agent, I would think.
Book agents are, I would imagine, on the bottom of the debauchery scale.
Well, you know what? This one was. We have to write this down for another episode, because we've talked about them individually, but of just like the different things that you have to like expense for to be like, You have to get an agent. You have to get an editor. You have to try to find a publisher, especially if you're doing, self-publishing. You have to find a place to publish. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that kind of...
Well, if you get the agent, he doesn't get paid till the book deal's made. If you get the book deal, then the publisher gives you an editor. So you don't have to worry about that. But if you're going the indie route, you probably don't need an agent. But you would need an editor. Just random things you'd have to...
like, as you grow as a writer and try, the things that you're going to have to try, because you just can't sit in your room and you write, and then, even if you self-publish the book, you can't just, like, drop something on your Facebook and Instagram that you just put a book out, like, you know what I mean? There's so much other things past the actual writing that you have to put in.
Well, if you... if you go to the traditional publishing route, the main thing that it has over indie publishing, besides recognition and audience, is the lack of expenses, because that's what the publisher does. Is they cover it, but they could be like the record industry too, where you're probably gonna get fucked.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to ever get as much money as you should be getting for your
book
work.
sold like 1 million copies, but like we don't have any money to get you.
Yeah. Yeah, you get like
fucking... We don't know how much it costs to put the book together.
Yeah, you get like $100 a month in royalties or something if you're lucky, or like something stupid. There's pros and cons to both. Like I said, the indie publishing scene though, unless you're really well known already, or you have a real huge social media audience, I just don't see you you're not gonna make a living.
Yeah.
There's a few. There's always the outliers. There's a few authors who made millions of dollars off of indie publishing, but you'd have to be like a social media whiz. You'd have to be great at marketing. You'd have to treat it like your full-time job, more than a full-time job. You're talking like 80 hours a week. I don't think that I wouldn't enjoy that.
Plus the writing.
Yeah. Plus I just want to focus on the writing. Like, that's what I would want to focus on. I don't want to worry about all that. That's why I'd rather get an agent and just, like, go through... Like, I don't want to fucking focus on the other shit. Chuck Palahniuk's like that. He doesn't like to focus on that shit. He just wants to write the stories, and that's how he got fleeced for millions from I think it was a bad agent or something ripped him off. Or, like, a relative or something. I think it was an agent that might have been a relative. It was something crazy, but, yeah, they ripped, like, put him in the poorhouse. And he was like, I don't really care about the money. I don't want to worry about, like, all the other shit, but you have to fucking pay attention a little. People always rip you off if you get rich.
Yeah, I mean that's that's one of the cons is if you're not paying attention, or you think you did a good job of vetting somebody and it turns out that they're a sleazebag.
A lot of sleazebags out there. Also, we didn't even talk about with the expenses if you want to move somewhere like New York or LA where you would have more connections and be able to actually go to the publishing houses and things like that. Go to different writer workshops. Go to famous bookstores that you could do readings, like to get your name out there. There's a lot of things that go into it, and you're not going to be able to do that in bumfuck Pennsylvania. Yeah. Fortunately, we live near Pittsburgh, and that's actually a pretty big literary scene. Not now. Not at Corona time, but at one time it was. So, yeah, maybe we'll cover that in another episode. Do you want to do the outros?
No.
Anyway, if you want to check out this article, I'll put it in the show notes, neats, knots. Fucking, I don't know what's wrong with me lately. Should I do meth? You think that would help?
Yeah. I think it would. I think it would really take care of that tooth problem you're having.
You mean it by having too many teeth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could probably stand to lose a couple. I have all my wisdom teeth, so I could probably lose a few teeth.
Teeth are too white and straight. Yeah. There's no gaps in between them.
Yeah, I need to fucking undo that. My skin doesn't... It needs to be more fucked up, too, probably.
Not enough pot marks.
Yeah, I need more fucking scars. You can check out the article at drunkenpenwriting.com. You can follow us on Twitter at drunkpenwriting, Instagram, drunkenpenwriting, and Facebook, same name. You folks stay classy, and we'll hopefully catch you next week. We'll see how things go. We play week to week now.
Yeah.
It's kind of how we always did it, but, it's how things go.
It's interesting now.
Interesting times indeed. Hopefully some good fiction comes out. I don't like pandemic fiction, though. I just don't care. And now that we're living through one, I really don't care.